Dia Abrams disappeared on June 6, 2020.
No one knows what happened to Dia. She's missing. She's disappeared.
She left her phone, her driver's license, all of her credit cards, and a large sum of money behind. Doesn't make sense.
Her family is desperate for answers.
We'll do a search immediately of the ranch. Maybe she had gone on a hike. Maybe she'd got injured.
Would she have ran away because she had so much on her plate?
She was cutting her kids out of her will.
They had been basically disowned.
Children were money hungry. And Dia said, if anything ever happens to me, my son Clinton did it.
This episode of Disappeared retraces Dia's last known steps.
But Keith Harper had a whole lot to gain by Dia going missing. Who is this guy? Was there foul play here?
I'm worried. I said, I think he's got connections with mob people.
I mean, he was the last one to see her. When we kept thinking, could he have really hurt her?
You don't kill people you love. You kill people that you don't love.
I feel like I failed her. And the not knowing drives me crazy.
The more people who know Dia's story, the greater the chance of bringing her home. Share on social media. Get the word out. Help find her. Have you seen Dia Abrams?
My name is Diana, and I'm a friend and neighbor of Dia Abrams in Garner Valley, California. On June 6th of 2020, Dia Abrams disappeared from her Bonita Vista Ranch in Garner Valley, California. Dia and I first met through a mutual friend, and from that, our friendship grew. We found that we had so much in common. She's the older sister I never had.
I first met Dia Abrams in either 2010 or 2011, and throughout the years, it seemed like we ended up rescuing each other all the time. I had a really bad accident. She took care of me. She had a really gnarly back surgery, and I took care of her. Diana, Dia, and myself, we became good friends after that.
I can only describe Dia with one word, and that word is firecracker. She had a presence about her, tomboy, but yet a girly girl, loved her ranch, loved her animals. That was her pride and joy were her animals. If there was a dog on the side of the road, she'd find a home for it.
Dia came out to this area, Mountain Center area, in the mid to late 90s. Her ranch is one of the most beautiful areas that you'll see.
Dia owns 3 properties in the Mountain Center area. One home was located on a 5-acre parcel in Garner Valley. Another residence was the Bonita Vista Ranch, which consisted of 116 acres. And then another piece of property called Sky High, which was about 20 acres. She resided between the Garner Valley house and the Bonita Vista Ranch.
I'm Jenny Kirshner, and I was a reporter and photographer for the Idyllwild Town Crier newspaper. And when Dia went missing, it was probably the biggest story that I had worked on. Idyllwild is a small mountain community in the mountains above Palm Springs, and it sits surrounded by the San Bernardino National Forest. It's a small population. It's about 4,000 people, and everybody definitely knows everybody.
It's a very tight-knit community. Everyone cares for one another. Dia, she is loved by everybody in the community.
Before she moved to Mountain Center, Dia married Clem Abrams. He was a wealthy real estate developer out of the San Diego area. Dia and Clem separated when she moved to Mountain Center, and he passed away in 2019.
Dia has 2 children, their son Clinton and her daughter Crisara. Crisara is a couple years older than Clinton.
I know that Dia loved her kids. I do. But I remember her telling me that she was disappointed in her children in that they could not make time for her. They had moved away to San Diego, and it baffled her that children would not have time for their mother.
Just because of how her children made her feel, I think she wanted an emotional partner. And then Harper came along.
My name is Keith Harper. I was born and raised in a little town in southern Idaho. Then I went into private industry, a recreational outfitting business out of Durango, Silverton, Ouray, Colorado. I met Dia in a dating site, and we had a 4-year relationship. When I actually met her, she picked me up in a Ford truck. I got in, and when I looked at her, I said, "Gosh, you are a country girl." And she said, "Why do you say that?" And I said, "Because you have hay in your hair." And she looked in the mirror and she said, "You know, I fed the horses before I came. I am so sorry." And I said, "No, that just proves to me who you are." I knew we had something special connected. I knew she needed help on the ranch, and I offered to come and actually work for her. And I fell deeply in love with her.
Dia had told me at one point that Harper had had a criminal past, but that he was not a criminal. But she was happy to have him there because he could help around the ranch. Harper, when he came around, I thought it was a good thing because it was help for Dia. But it was never really a romantic thing.
There was no affection between the two. Usually if you are involved in a relationship, you hold their hand or smile at them a certain way or put your arm around them when you're sitting in a chair. It was lacking any type of physical emotion or activity with one another. So I didn't know if they were dating or not. And she goes, "Well, yeah, he is. He's more than a friend." And that was it. That's all I knew.
June 6, 2020. We were leaving the next day, Sunday. We were leaving for Colorado for the weekend. We've had some great trips where we went, and it all has to do with nature. And she was an enthusiast about that. Anyway, that was our plan. She had packed, we were packed. And I said, "I'm gonna go out and mow the meadow." I had stopped at around 2 o'clock. Had lunch with Dia. She said, "Have you got a minute? I need to talk with you." And I said, "Dia, it's going to take me till dark to get the meadow done. I'm not that far into it. I need to get it done." And she said, "Oh, okay, it's not important." I wish I had that time to understand what she was going to tell me, because she felt it was fairly significant. I kind of discouraged that. I wished I hadn't done. I may have learned things about what she knew that she was willing to share at that moment, and I never get to do that chance again. I went back to mowing. By the time I got things squared away and came into the house, it was approximately 7 o'clock, so right at dark. And I went upstairs and I found her phone plugged in and no Dia. Her purse was sitting there. And I thought, I'm surprised she didn't take her purse. I went out back and I saw her truck there, and then the realization was she's got to be here somewhere. I was surprised that she wasn't there, but she had talked about going down to the lower horse ranch and going out and exercising the horses. So I thought, maybe that's what she does. She should be back shortly. It was almost 12:30 by the time I had finished any searching of the property. When I hadn't found her, I called the highway patrolman and expressed a concern, and he just said, nothing by morning, then get concerned. And so I didn't sleep much that night. I contacted the highway patrolman in the morning. He told me I needed to call the sheriff's office and report her as missing.
Sunday morning, June 7th, I received a phone call from Julie, and she asked me, has Harper called you? I said, no, why would Harper call me? So I call Harper. I said, what's going on? He goes, did Dia spend the night with you? I said, no. Well, I can't find her. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, she was here Saturday. I saw her at lunch. I asked if he checked the Garner Valley house. He said, yes, she's not there. So I said, okay, I'm coming over.
Diana said, I'll be down there. I'll call some friends of Dia's. We'll do a search immediately of the ranch. You know, my concern was where she was and what was going on with her. Maybe she had gone on a hike. Maybe she'd got injured. And so all that's going through my mind.
So we called everyone we could think of to come help and search the property. We all went to the Bonita Vista Ranch and met with Harper. Her truck is here, her keys to the truck are here, her purse is here, her cell phone is here. So things were not adding up. So Sunday night, there was no sign of her and it was getting dark. So we all decided to go home and start fresh early the next morning, like at 6 a.m. I started calling the police Monday morning, called Monday afternoon, and all the way up until they finally showed up on Monday night.
I said, you know, we've done an initial search of the property. And I said, you know, I was planning on leaving on Sunday. I have some business to take place in Colorado on Monday.
Harper said, and I have to leave. I said, okay, why? He goes, well, I was involved in a circumstance. I'm on probation, and I have to go back. I can't be here for more than a certain amount of days before I have to leave, and then I have to go check in with my probation officer. So I have to go check in with them. I didn't know what for, and I said, well, do you think that's such a good idea? But I used to be a probation officer. I know if I had a probationer call me and said, hey, look, my girlfriend is missing. I don't think it's a good idea if I leave. The probation officer, I'm sure, would say it was okay to do so.
The sheriff's office said they would be shutting the ranch down for the investigation. And I said, fine, you know, I have to be in Colorado. So I left.
On Monday, June 8th of 2020, Harper left the state. The community definitely had some red flags on why he would do that. There was no real answers on why he left.
By that time, Dia's son, Clinton, showed up. One of the neighbors had called him to say, hey, your mom's missing. I remember Clinton just kind of hanging out in the front. He never went searching. He never asked questions. He was just kind of hanging out with the crowd. Almost like he was searching for pity or something.
I never met Clinton, so I only saw a picture of him when he was younger on the refrigerator, and Dia would speak of him as being so smart that he was scary.
I remember once, Dia looked me straight in the eye and said, if anything ever happens to me, my son Clinton did it.
I remember Dia told me that if anything happens to me, Clinton's gonna have something to do with it. And I never forgot it because that's a big thing. You don't forget where you were when someone tells you something like that. Dia loved her children, but she did not get to see them very often. She said they want to do their own thing. She said she was hurt a lot by the inattention she got from them. She said they weren't always exactly kind. She ended up doing the reaching out. It wasn't the other way around. And in 10 years, I never met Clinton. I thought that was pretty odd.
She told me she had a constant conflict with Clinton on the phone, and to me, he always talked down to her. I never, ever heard Clinton call her mom. It was always Dia, as if he was talking down to her. And I remember being very angry about that, and I said, you cannot continue to let him talk to you that way.
She was disappointed because from what I understood from Dia was that the children were money hungry.
When Dia's husband, Clem, was alive, the two of them had an arrangement that he would pay for the bills at the ranch. Then when she got absolutely nothing from that will, she realized she had to do something.
So in 2019, Dia filed a petition to gain control of the estate that belonged to the deceased, Clem Abrams, from her children. The estate is suspected to be worth about $15 to $30 million.
She said she was upset about having to go through the lawsuit with her kids, and she didn't like fighting with them. She was just disappointed in them.
I'm Matt Owens. I'm a lawyer. I'm a partner with the law firm in San Diego, California. I handle disputes involving trusts and estates, and I represent Dia's children. Dia was seeking to throw out or invalidate her prenuptial agreement that Dia had with Clem, her husband. As co-trustees of Clem's trust, her children had to oppose Dia's petition because just like any other trustee would have had to do the same thing in order to protect and honor what Clem had stated he wanted in the trust document. Dia's children were going to be fine regardless of who won or lost that lawsuit that Dia had filed. There was no potential outcome in that case where Dia's kids got nothing from Clem's trust. It was just a dispute over how much Dia was going to get during her lifetime and some other nuances, but her kids were going to be fine regardless of the outcome of that case.
The lawsuit for Clem Abrams' estate, I understand from Dia that Clinton had threatened Dia in taking away her truck as it was in Clem's trust. That was the heaviest thing on her mind before her disappearance, was they're gonna take my truck. What am I gonna do? They wouldn't even give me a ride home. Like, what am I supposed to do? I can't have transportation. Why do they need my truck?
The truck belonged to Clem's trust. And so if you're trustee of Clem's trust and there's an asset out there that belongs to the Clem Abrams trust, you kind of have to go get it. I don't think that there was any sort of desire to fight over, I think it was like a 2006 Ford truck, right? Like, I don't think there was a desire to achieve some sort of like financial benefit. It seemed like a trustee needing to go collect an asset that belonged to the trust.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, when they were trying to take the truck away. Dia stated that she was cutting her kids out of her will. The reason for that is, why would you want to help people who were not willing to help you?
While Dia was in the middle of this court battle, fighting for that estate, she still had control over the 3 properties in the Idyllwild area.
Dia Abrams owned those 3 properties that were completely separate and apart from the Clem Abrams Trust. They were Dia's properties.
About the same time, about March, I think it was, she had texted me and asked me, would you mind being the executor in my will? I'm thinking, this woman has at least 20 more years because she's in great shape, mentally just all there, and it's not gonna be a thing. So I said, sure, no problem. She texted back, I'm trying to get Keith Harper to say yes to being executor as well.
Dia changed her trust, and that the children weren't to be allowed on the ranch. They had been basically disowned. She states their names, and she says, I leave you my love. which is worth more than anything else I have.
Dia changed her trust about 2 weeks, I think it was technically 15 days before she went missing. She did not reach out to her kids in that intervening 15 days and say, hey, I updated my trust, just want to let you know, okay? She did that basically in secrecy. I found it highly suspicious.
Dia, she feared extremely that her son would do something negative to her. A lot of the times she would express her concern for her welfare. She says, you know, I do not feel safe anymore. I have challenged Clinton's efforts to control me and to shut me out of these fathers of trust.
So many things run through your head, but as far as I was concerned, he still had something to do with it. Not himself personally. I don't think he would ever touch his mom that way or hurt his mom physically, but he knew people that could or would, just based on Dia's statements.
Dia said once I'm worried. I said, I think he's got connections with mob people. And in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to hear this because that's dangerous. And I just said, be very careful and hope that that's not the truth.
It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous to make that sort of allegation against him. Clinton has absolutely no ties with any sort of mafia, organized crime, whatever you want to call it.
Once the Riverside County Sheriff's Department were done on Wednesday. They called Dia's kids and said, we're done with the investigation. You can go into the property. Even though we continuously told them, do not call the kids. Dia said that she did not want the children to ever go into her house. She was adamant about that. She goes, do not let my children in the house. All they care about are the things in the house, what they can take, what they can sell. It's all about money with them. So do not let them into the house. So I immediately spoke to Dia's attorney, and he obtained a copy of the power of attorney and a copy of the trust.
I remember Clinton coming up. It felt like standoff at the OK Corral. Clinton gets out of the truck. His lawyer comes out of another car. He walks up, and Diana's got the papers in hand.
And I said, I said, here's the paperwork from the attorney. Dia named me and Harper as executor to her will. Harper left the property. And I have power of attorney. Here's a document that says that I'm acting on Dia's behalf. And I made a promise to her that I would honor her wishes, take care of her property, not let her kids in the house. This is what I'm gonna do. We didn't realize at the time that it was about to get so much worse.
It's only been 5 days since Dia's been missing, but there is a lot of miscommunication and conflict when it comes to who actually owns the estate. Harper's left the state at this point, and Diana is on the property. So she's asked Clinton to leave, and there's still some debate over the issue of the truck.
I said, you can't leave with her property. This is Dia's truck. The one thing she asked that you do not take, her only vehicle. Dia hasn't been gone long. What if she came back? We need to find her. There was really no emotion coming from Clinton. If my mom was missing, I'd be yelling and screaming, going, where the heck is she? And that's when he said that the truck was part of his father's trust and that he's taking it. Who does that? It wasn't worth anything.
It's not like Dia didn't have assets, right? I mean, she had 3 properties. If she really needed a truck, is it really that big of a deal for her to get a different vehicle? I mean, I don't understand what the big deal was about the truck, other than certain people in the case have pointed to that as one instance where they're trying to spin it and make Clinton look like he was about to, do harm to their mother.
So there's obviously a lot of legal and financial conflict going on, but it's unclear how any of this kind of shows anything about why she disappeared. There really hasn't been any evidence to show that there was any foul play in the first place.
The next morning, we went out on our ATVs to search for Dia. Harper came home and he was able to start running things.
No one knows what happened to Dia. She's missing. She's disappeared.
So you start having a lot of thoughts run through your mind. Like, okay, what else could have happened? Would she have ran away because she had so much on her plate? Like, no, she wouldn't have ran away because she left her dog. She left all of her other animals. She left her phone, her driver's license, all of her credit cards, and a large sum of money behind. Doesn't make sense. Then we started thinking foul play.
Diana and I, we started to put together scenarios in our minds. A lot of things started clicking here and there about different persons and what they would have to gain, specific actions that they would take or not take in the pursuit of finding Dia.
Weeks are going by, and Dia's still missing, but the Riverside County Sheriff's Department isn't commenting on the case at all.
Over time, Harper seemed to be more interested in the property and the ranch than he was in finding Dia.
I realized I didn't know anything about Harper's personality. I didn't know anything about his personal life. I didn't know him at all. And then the more we spoke, the more I realized some of the things that he was saying didn't make sense. I mean, he was the last one to see her. When we kept thinking, could he have really hurt her?
Keith Harper. This is not someone, as far as we could tell, who had any sort of significant wealth. After she goes missing, all of a sudden Harper finds himself in a great situation. He's living on this 115-acre ranch. His whole life changes. That's a big deal for someone in his situation. And then you contrast that with, what do the kids have to gain from Dia going missing? Very little. They're still gonna be provided for under any scenario based on their father's wealth. But Keith Harper had a whole lot to gain by Dia going missing.
There is a lot of attention about me. I'm the primary suspect because I'm the boyfriend. What about the ranch? Did you kill her because you wanted the ranch? God, no. You know, I've worked on a ranch. Ranching does not make money. I know how to make money. I'm here because I loved a girl. When somebody asked me, did you kill her? I've had that question asked, but I said, honestly, you don't kill people you love. You kill people that you don't love.
We did work with a private investigator to do a criminal history check on Mr. Harper and learned some things that were pretty shocking to us. He had been convicted of sexual assault against 2 women in Colorado. So Mr. Harper ran some sort of business where he would take people around on a snowmobile. Based on the court records, he took these 2 women out on a snowmobile tour. They alleged that he groped both of them, and the authorities got involved, and he was arrested and ultimately convicted of sexual assault in connection with that event. That's what required him to be registered as a sex offender. He was sentenced to 12 months in jail for that conviction. I believe he served just short of 9 months.
As far as allegations, there is one allegation I have. It's the only conviction basically I have. I was wrongly accused of that allegation. It gets blown out of perspective, but I will tell you that I was not guilty of that charge. There's not much more I will say on that.
One of the things you definitely want to look at in that type of case is the nature of the relationship between Dia and the person who's now benefiting under the trust document, so Harper. Who is this Keith Harper guy? Was there foul play here? Did something nefarious happen?
You begin to wonder over and over again, how low in the barrel do you have to reach to point fingers? And I said the only reason the fingers are being pointed because it's pointed away from where they should look.
Dia Abrams was last seen June 6, 2020. If you have any information, please contact the Riverside County Sheriff's Department at 951-955-2400.
A few months after she was gone, Dia was gone, we were looking anywhere and everywhere for what could have possibly happened to Dia. And I know that the police were looking at Harper because he's the obvious suspect. I didn't want to believe it was Harper. I didn't want to believe it was their son, Clinton. To this point, I don't know where to cast suspicions.
To us, he was Harper. He was not really ruled out per se, but we don't know him.
I grew very fond of Dia and loved that girl. I can understand their concern. As her boyfriend, husbands, boyfriends are often the ones they look at, and most of the time, they're the ones involved in the situation. So I understood what was going on.
On March 16th of 2021, Dia's kids made a surprising move in court. So they filed a probate petition asking to remove Diana Fetter and Keith Harper as trustees of the estate. So the petition is saying that they think that Harper could be a suspect in this disappearance of Dia Abrams.
We were trying to get Keith Harper and Diana Fetter out of that position as trustee. We wanted him out. They're not qualified to serve as trustee. Harper had been breaching fiduciary duties, meaning he had done things that were wrong under the law that were causing harm to Dia's trust.
There's a lot of false accusations in what they say. They're trying to point the finger. I mean, you just can't come in and just demand that the trust be changed. You have to have reasons why that change should occur.
We've learned that Harper started renting out multiple structures on that ranch, on Airbnb, weddings, all sorts of things that generated income. He was depositing into his personal bank account, so not in the name of Dia's trust, which, you know, any trust lawyer will tell you you cannot do. If you're a trustee and you're receiving rental income from a trust property, you have to put that money in a trust bank account, meaning a bank account that's set up in the name of Dia's trust.
I finally said, you know what, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I didn't have the money to fight it or hire an attorney, so I'm removing myself as trustee of the estate.
Diana walked away from the case, so she agreed not to seek to serve in any fiduciary role.
So Dia's body hasn't been found, and really there's no evidence that anything even happened to her, except that she's missing. So a lot of finger pointing of he said, she said, but at the end of the day, she's still missing. So at this point, there's been no persons of interest that have been released by the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. There's still no clues. There's nothing that's being shared as far as evidence or suspects or anything. But Harper has a lot of things kind of working against him. There's definitely a lot of speculation on whether he's a suspect or not. I mean, the community is definitely unsure. It did really seem like he wanted to prove his innocence and kind of clear his name.
At that point, it's nearly a year has come and passed, so I contacted Kelly Snyder with a group out of Phoenix that comes in called the Find Me organization.
The Find Me group work with law enforcement to try to connect families with their missing loved ones. They provide a lot of emotional support. They also use search and rescue and intuitive resources. When conventional methods of searching for people maybe doesn't turn up any clues, it's not really uncommon to try some unconventional methods like psychics. He works with approximately 100 psychics that helps, make some predictions about these missing people cases. Even though, Keith Harper might be sort of grasping at straws, it's not surprising that he would, try any methods he could to help find her.
When I talked to Kelly, I said, hey, I've lost a girlfriend. She's been gone almost a year now. I need your help. Is there some way you could put her on your agenda to look? He said, you know, I've studied Dia's case. We're going to help you find her. So as a result of that, Kelly spends 6 weeks on the investigation. By the time he comes out, he basically says that he found her where she was. Kelly said the body's location was placed in Lake Hemet. I remember calling the detective at the sheriff's office. I said, you know, you do have a dive team. He agreed. I would drive to the lake every day. The only dive that I see them actually do is a dive that goes on for about 20 minutes. They go out approximately 40 yards. You can see the bubbles where they go out. Then when they had found nothing, I contacted Kelly. I was a little frustrated on why they had not found anything. Under his recommendation, I was pretty confident that they would, but she was not found then.
So at the end of the day, Dia's body wasn't found in Lake Hemet, and the Riverside County Sheriff's Department really didn't want to disclose any information about any evidence that might have been found. So, you know, it's important to kind of remember that these are sort of non-conventional methods to finding people, and so they claim they're only accurate about 30 to 35% of the time.
I have to be clear, I can't say that Keith Harper did it, right? I don't have that information. I don't have personal knowledge of that. All I can say is that his behavior after she went missing is highly suspect, and his history before she went missing is highly suspect. But we did achieve the settlement agreement.
I was working with Dia's attorney. He said, you know, what my recommendation is, you have a compromise with them. They're going to continue to come after you until you have nothing. I recommend that you settle with them, that you divide the property 50-50 and let the pieces fall. I agreed with that. The court, in their ruling, basically agreed to divide the property 50-50 with her children. If any one of us are found to be guilty, they are to receive nothing until such time as the 5-year mark is passed, or if Dia is located and determined to be dead. As a result of that, that's where we're currently in, the status of determining what the status is and what the ruling of the court really means. But at least the main litigations are done for now.
To me, the judge made the only decision he could in this matter. I don't see how he could make a different decision at this time to be fair to either party.
It's been almost 3 years now. And so I feel like I failed her. The not knowing drives me crazy. Her friends are just dumbfounded. Not a day goes by that I don't think of her. Not a day.
To everybody out here watching this, any information you have, please call the sheriff's department. If you know anything and you see what's going on here, what this poor lady had to go through, please help.
We're looking for information from anyone who might know what happened to Dia. You have information about some sort of foul play where someone perhaps abducted her, or even worse. That's the type of information we're looking for. Do you know the whereabouts of where her remains might be, if that's the situation? Those are the types of things that we're looking for. Clinton wants a reward posted because he wants people to come forward with information as to what happened to Dia. So if anyone comes forward with information leading to some sort of criminal charge or criminal conviction, then you're going to be able to collect on a $300,000 reward.
I want this to be over. I want to have some kind of conclusion. I think we're close enough now that her case will move forward. I'm very hopeful of that. It's interesting. I don't think you really evaluate how important a relationship is until you lose it. And once you have lost it, then you realize how significant that relationship was and what it meant to you when she was present.
If I could see Dee again, I would just give her a big hug and cry and just be so happy to see her. And then I'd be like, darn you for disappearing like that. Darn it, darn it. I would just want to say everything's going to be okay. But if she's not here and she's in heaven, I know that someday I'll see her there. And I know I'll see her again. And that gives me comfort.
Mai 2013 Kanada. Die ländlichen Randgebiete der kleinen Stadt Waterloo, etwa 60 Meilen südwestlich von Toronto. Die Polizei zieht zusätzliche Einheiten hinzu. Eine groß angelegte Suche durchführen. Ruhiger, privater Bauernhof. Die Ermittler suchen nach einem 32-jähriger Familienvater, der verschwand spurlos nur wenige Tage zuvor, nachdem er abgereist war. Um zu zeigen sein persönliches Auto potenziellen Käufern. Das Anwesen ist riesig und umfasst Scheunen, landwirtschaftliche Geräte und offene Felder sich in alle Richtungen erstreckend. Aber was ist mit den forensischen Ermittlern? Entdeckt dort sofort fängt es ein selbst die erfahrensten Offiziere. Mitten auf dem Bauernhof steht ein massiver Industrieofen. Es handelt sich um eine Spezialverbrennungsanlage. Normalerweise sind solche Hochleistungsgeräte wird nur von großen Unternehmen gekauft für die rechtmäßige Entsorgung biologischer, aber der Besitzer dieses besonderen der Eigentümer bestellte ein Exemplar für den persönlichen Gebrauch. Noch beunruhigender war, dass er die Maschine und gab ihr einen eigenen Spitznamen. Der Eliminator. Warum sollte eine einzelne Person ein eigenständiges Gerät benötigen? Maschine, die in der Lage ist, massive Mengen an organischem Material zu Asche? Heute analysieren wir eines der die kompliziertesten Fälle, von denen Sie je hören werden. Eine Geschichte, in der digitale Beweise bewiesen weitaus zuverlässiger als Augenzeugenberichte Zeugnis. Ein Fall, in dem enormer Reichtum aufeinanderprallte mit schockierender Gleichgültigkeit seitens der Justizsystem. Bevor wir uns mit den Fakten befassen, ich würde mich sehr über Ihre Unterstützung freuen. Dieses Video. Ich bin durch Berge von offizielle Dokumente, rekonstruiert die Zeitleiste anhand von Telefonaufzeichnungen und Gerichtsdateneinreichungen. Und arbeitete daran, verifizierte Fakten zu trennen aus Spekulationen. Wenn Ihnen detaillierte Ermittlungen gefallen haben, sowas, abonniere den Kanal, hinterlasse einen Kommentar, kommentiere und klicke auf Gefällt mir. Ihre Unterstützung ist es, die mich motiviert, grabe weiter nach der Wahrheit und produziere detaillierte Fallanalysen wie das. Nun zurück zum Bauernhof. Während forensische Spezialisten die im Inneren des Eliminators sie entdecken Beweise, die sofort ändert die Richtung der Untersuchung. Diese Entdeckungen zwingen die Detektive dazu, eine alte Akte aus dem Regal nehmen. Die Strafverfolgungsbehörden hatten größtenteils fast ein Jahr zuvor entlassen worden. Um zu verstehen, wie diese Spezialisierung funktioniert, der Ofen ist mit jemandem verbunden. Hatte ich schon vergessen, wir müssen die Geschichte um 10 Minuten zurückspulen. Monate. Juli 2012, Toronto. 23 Jahre alt. Laura Babcock findet sich plötzlich wieder ohne Unterkunft. Sie kann sich die Miete nicht leisten. Hat keinen festen Wohnsitz und endet sie schlief draußen mit ihrem Hund. Laura sucht verzweifelt nach einem Zimmer oder irgendwo, wo sie die Nacht verbringen kann. Aber aufgrund mehrerer wichtiger Veranstaltungen, die in der ganzen Stadt stattfinden, jeden das Motel ist komplett ausgebucht. Da sie keine andere Wahl hat, verbringt sie die Nacht in einem öffentlichen Park. Dann, am 3. Juli, ihr Handy geht plötzlich offline. Von diesem Moment an ist es nie wieder mit einem Mobilfunknetz verbunden. Das letzte Signal von Lauras Handy ist von einem Mobilfunkmast im Westen empfangen Seite von Toronto. Und genau an diesem Tag, in genau dieser Teil der Stadt. Der wohlhabende Erbe eines Multimillionenvermögens, das Dollarluftfahrtimperium, beginnt mit dem Aufbau einen finsteren und beunruhigenden Plan. In Gang setzen. Lauras Familie merkt, dass etwas nicht stimmt. Das ist völlig falsch. Am 14. Juli gehen sie der Polizei melden und sie offiziell Anzeigen fehlen. Die Ermittler drängen jedoch nicht darauf, eine Untersuchung einzuleiten. Groß angelegte Suche oder Anfrage nach ihrer Handynummer, Telefonaufzeichnungen. Stattdessen konzentrieren sie sich auf ihr Hintergrund. Laura hatte gelegentlich als Escort mit erheblichen Problemen zu kämpfen, Finanzschulden. Und hatte eine lange Geschichte des Empfangens, psychiatrische Versorgung. Zum System, sie wurde fast unsichtbar. Die offizielle Position der Behörden sind als so einfach wie frustrierend. Da Laura erwachsen war und keine unmittelbaren Anzeichen dafür jemand hielt sie gegen ihren Willen fest. Die Ermittler gingen davon aus, dass sie beschloss, ihren Problemen den Rücken zu kehren. Und woanders von vorne anfangen. Niemand hat Überwachungsaufnahmen gesammelt. Aus den umliegenden Straßen. Niemand hat ihre Kontakte überprüft während dieser entscheidenden ersten Stunden. Das System, sie hat sich einfach entschieden, nicht nach ihr zu suchen. Wie verliefen also die Wege eines reichen Erben? Und eine junge Frau, die geschlafen hatte, schon mal in einem Stadtpark überquert? Und warum waren Fakten, die so schienen, offensichtlich von den Ermittlern ignoriert das ganze Jahr? Um diese Fragen zu beantworten, müssen wir gehen zurück 3 Jahre vor Lauras Verschwinden. Januar 2009, ein Nachbarschaftspub in Toronto. Hier treffen 2 Menschen aus völlig unterschiedlichen Welten aufeinander. Verschiedene Welten treffen zum ersten Mal aufeinander. Nun können wir endlich Namen zuordnen. Geschichte. Die vermisste junge Frau ist Laura Babcock. Damals war sie 20 Jahre alt. Der junge Mann ist Dalen Millard, 4 Jahre alt. Älter als Laura. Laura wuchs in einer engen Familie auf. Eltern, Clayton und Linda, und ihr älterer Bruder, Brent. Sie schrieb sich an der Universität ein, Toronto, wo sie Englisch studierte, Literatur und Theater. Um ihren Lebensunterhalt selbst zu bestreiten, sie arbeitete in Teilzeit in einem Spielzeugladen. Von außen betrachtet sah ihr Leben so aus, völlig normal. Doch ihre Krankenakten erzählten mehr komplizierte Geschichte. Laura traf sich regelmäßig mit der Universität. Psychiaterin. Sie hatte damit zu kämpfen. Beziehungen und fand es oft schwierig, sich an die Regeln zu halten bei Heim. Nach anhaltenden Spannungen und alltäglichen Meinungsverschiedenheiten mit ihren Eltern, sie beschloss, auszuziehen und auf einer anderen Wohnung zu leben, ihre eigene. Dalens Leben hätte nicht besser sein können anders. Er war der einzige Erbe eines bedeutenden Luftfahrtunternehmens. Unternehmen mit Sitz in Waterloo. Er hatte Zugang zu riesigen Flugzeugen, Kleiderbügelflugzeuge und praktisch unbegrenzt finanzielle Ressourcen. Wenn man sich ihre Hintergründe ansieht, ist es schwierig, sich nicht zu fragen, was wohl geschehen sein könnte, brachte diese beiden Welten zusammen. Auf der einen Seite befand sich ein gewöhnliches College. Schüler trägt viel persönliche Probleme. Auf der anderen Seite stand ein junger Mann, der hatte aufgewachsen im Glauben, dass es keine Grenzen gäbe. Telefonaufzeichnungen und Zeugenaussagen belegen, dass ihre Beziehung nicht sehr lange hielt. Dalen verfolgte offen andere Beziehungen und schließlich die beiden, sie beschlossen, ihre Beziehung zu beenden. Auch nach der Trennung blieben sie Freunde und man sah sich gelegentlich ohne jegliche Erwartungen oder Verpflichtungen. Im Sommer 2010 betritt ein weiterer Mann die Bühne. Lauras Leben. Sein Name ist John Lerner. Ein äußerst erfolgreicher Geschäftsmann. Sean ist ganz anders als Dalen. Er schnell verliebt sich in Laura und versucht aufrichtig, gib ihr ein stabileres Leben. Ihre Beziehung entwickelt sich auf natürliche Weise und hält fast 1,5 Jahre. Bis Weihnachten 2011 beenden Laura und Sean ihre Beziehung. Ihr gutes Verhältnis, aber Sean verschwindet nicht aus ihrem Gedächtnis. Leben. Stattdessen wird er zur Person Laura kann sich immer darauf verlassen, egal ob sie benötigt emotionale Unterstützung oder einen Kredit. Um einen weiteren schwierigen Monat durchstehen. Gleichzeitig Dellen Millards auch das Privatleben verändert sich. Er beginnt eine feste Beziehung mit Christina Nutka. Beim Durchsehen der Interviewprotokolle von Leuten, die sie kannten, bemerkte ich ein wichtiges Detail. Christina war sich Lauras vollkommen bewusst. Babcock. Zeugenaussagen übereinstimmend beschreiben sie, wie stark sie auf die Tatsache, dass Dellen weiterhin in Kontakt zu seiner Ex-Freundin. Die Situation löste offensichtliche Eifersucht aus. Und ein wachsendes Bedürfnis, zu kontrollieren, wer blieb in seinem Leben. Anfang 2012 hatte Laura sie verlor völlig die Kontrolle über ihre Finanzen. Ihr Gehaltscheck vom Spielzeugladen war nicht lang genug, um die Miete zu decken. Sie suchen nach einer Möglichkeit, schnell Geld zu verdienen? Sie nahm eine Stelle bei einer Agentur an namens Last-Minute Escort Service in der Innenstadt von Toronto. Laura erzählte Sean, dass ihre Arbeit beschränkt auf die Begleitung von Kunden bis formelle Veranstaltungen. Aber später eine ihrer engsten Freundinnen bot den Ermittlern eine ganz andere Perspektive. Konto. Laut dieser Aussage, Laura übernachteten manchmal bei Kunden. Er verlangt $250 pro Stunde. Etwa zur gleichen Zeit verschlechterte sich ihr psychischer Gesundheitszustand. Verschlechterte sich rapide. Krankenhausakten offenbaren ein beunruhigendes Muster. Zwischen August 2011 und April 2012 Laura suchte notfallpsychiatrische Hilfe. Pflege 12 Mal. Auch in Zeugenaussagen wird sie beschrieben kämpfen mit einer Sucht nach verbotene Substanzen, einschließlich Kokain. Schließlich war sie gezwungen aufzugeben. Ihre Wohnung komplett. Bis Februar hatte sich die Situation verschlechtert, unglaublich angespannt. Es gab einen reichen Erben, der glaubte, die Regeln galten nicht für ihn. Seine neue Freundin, die alles wollte, Kontrolle über die Beziehung, ein erfolgreicher Geschäftsmann. Dem das wohl anderer nicht egal war, tiefgründig über Laura, und Laura selbst, deren Leben sie zerfallen stetig. Es war nur eine Frage der Zeit, bis diese Wege kreuzten sich. Die erste offene Konfrontation stand kurz bevor das Ende des Winters. Am 26. Februar 2012 geschah etwas, das eine unumkehrbare Kette auslöste von Ereignissen in Bewegung. Entschlossen, sich als die wichtigste Frau in Dellens Leben Christina schaffte es, Lauras private Telefonnummer. Sie beschloss, sie zu provozieren. Christina schickte eine SMS mit folgendem Inhalt: Alles Gute zum Geburtstag. Heute vor genau einem Jahr schlief ich mit Dellen zum ersten Mal. Laura, die zu diesem Zeitpunkt nicht mehr schien emotional involviert zu sein, Beziehung zum Luftfahrterben, er antwortete fast umgehend. Gut für dich. Ich war vor ein paar Wochen mit ihm zusammen. Dieser kurze Austausch von Textnachrichten löst eine Kettenreaktion aus. Der reiche Erbe findet sich plötzlich wieder im Zentrum eines schweren Konflikts mit seiner neuen Freundin, deren Eifersucht einen Wendepunkt erreicht. Dellen sieht sich gezwungen, einzugreifen. Er schickt Laura eine unverblümte Nachricht, in der er sie informiert. Sie solle nie wieder Kontakt zu ihm aufnehmen. Er beschreibt sie sogar als schlecht. Für sein Privatleben. Auf den ersten Blick scheint es so zu sein, das war's. Der Konflikt scheint beigelegt und die Kommunikation scheint abgebrochen zu sein. Doch am 17. April, ein weiterer ruhiger Moment findet hinter den Kulissen statt. Dellen schickt seiner offiziellen Freundin eine kurze Nachricht mit einem Versprechen, das schwer zu halten ist, zu ignorieren. Er versichert ihr, dass er persönlich kümmere dich um Laura. Achten Sie darauf, wie beiläufig diese Wörter werden geschrieben. Das liest sich nicht mehr wie ein emotionaler Streit zwischen ehemaligen Partnern. Es dokumentiert eine ganz bestimmte Absicht, jemanden aus seinem Leben entfernen, dauerhaft. Nun springen wir zum Juni desselben Jahres. Ja. Zu diesem Zeitpunkt hat Laura ihre Gefühle völlig verloren. Wohnort. Sean Lerner, der Geschäftsmann aus ihrer Vergangenheit, beschließt, sie von der Straße zu holen. Er bezahlt ein Hotelzimmer auf der Westseite aus Toronto und kauft ihr ein brandneues iPad. Das Tablet hat nur einen Zweck: zu helfen. Laura sucht nach Mietangeboten und übernachtet in Kontakt zu den Menschen, denen etwas daran liegt ihr. Aber bald schon große Stadtfeste ziehen riesige Menschenmengen an. Nach Toronto. Hotels und Motels füllen sich mit Besuchern. Es bleiben keine Stellen mehr frei. Laura landet schließlich wieder in einem Stadtpark. Verzweifelt und ohne Ausweg, sie nimmt erneut Kontakt zu Dellen auf. Höchstwahrscheinlich hofft sie, dass er ihr ein Angebot machen könnte. Etwas finanzielle Hilfe. Telefonaufzeichnungen bestätigen später, dass mehrere zwischen ihnen fanden Telefonate statt. Dann kommt der Juli. Wie wir bereits von Anfang an wissen, in dieser Geschichte klingelt Lauras Telefon plötzlich. Für immer Stille. Und die Strafverfolgungsbehörden entscheiden sich dagegen. Ihr Verschwinden aktiv verfolgen. Während das System stillsteht, Lauras die Familie beginnt ihre eigenen Ermittlungen. Am 27. Juli, ihre Eltern die neueste Handyrechnung erhalten in die Post. Eine Zahl taucht immer wieder auf in die Liste von Lauras letzten Abgängen Anrufe. Es gehört Dellen. Sobald Sean das erfährt, beschließt er, die Angelegenheit selbst in die Hand zu nehmen. Er ruft den Millionär direkt an und verlangt ein persönliches Treffen. Die beiden Männer setzen sich zusammen an einen Tisch. Starbucks. Sean stellt ihm eine einfache Frage. Wo ist Laura? Dellen wirkt völlig ruhig. Ohne jedes Anzeichen von Besorgnis, er behauptet, Laura sei einfach nur gewesen. Ich rief ihn wiederholt an und bat ihn, ihr helfen, verbotene Substanzen zu beschaffen einschließlich Kokain. Dann sagt er etwas, das sofort wirft noch mehr Fragen auf. Er sagt Sean, er solle nicht erwarten, ihn jemals zu sehen. Laura schon wieder. Es ist bemerkenswert, wie offen jemand sein kann sprechen, wenn sie glauben, dass sie völlig unangreifbar. Erschüttert von dem Gespräch geht Sean direkt an die Ermittler und Wiederholungstäter jedes Wort. Er hat Telefonaufzeichnungen, die wiederholte Kontakt am Tag von Lauras Verschwinden. Er hat auch Dellens tiefgründige, eine beunruhigende Aussage. Doch die Reaktion der Polizei zerstört jede Hoffnung, dass der Fall vorankommt nach vorne. Die Ermittler entscheiden, dass die Geschichte über Lauras Suche nach verbotenen Substanzen passen perfekt zu ihrer bestehenden Theorie. Das sie hatte, hat sich freiwillig von ihrem alten Zuhause getrennt leben. Seans Konto wurde geschlossen. Und die offizielle Untersuchung ist monatelang praktisch eingefroren. Bis Mai im Jahr 2013 waren fast 10 Monate vergangen. Laura verschwand. 10 Monate ohne Antworten, ohne Bewegung. Und keine wirklichen Bemühungen seitens der Behörden. Der inaktive Fall hätte bestehen bleiben können, vergraben in den Archiven der Polizei von Toronto auf unbestimmte Zeit. Wenn nicht ein extremer beunruhigender Vorfall, der die Menschen schockierte in ganz Kanada. Derselbe selbstbewusste Millionär, der hatte, sagte Sean offen, er solle nicht erwarten, dass Laura, als er zurückkehrte, befand er sich plötzlich in Handschellen. Dellen Millard was arrested in Verbindung mit einem völlig separaten Fall. Die Behörden beschuldigten ihn der Entführung das Leben eines 32-jährigen Familienvaters. Erinnern Sie sich an den Mann, über den wir beide ganz am Anfang? Die Ermittler erfuhren, dass er einfach nur hat versucht, sein persönliches Pickup-Truck, als er seinen Weg kreuzte, 2 gefährliche Käufer. Dellens engster Mitarbeiter, ein Mann namens Mark Smith, wurde ebenfalls in Gewahrsam genommen. Erst nach dieser aufsehenerregenden Verhaftung die Ermittler beginnen endlich mit der Suche, die Ereignisse im Zusammenhang mit Lauras Verschwinden. Sie haben die alten Berichte hervorgeholt. Seans frühere Aussagen und gelangten zu einer beunruhigenden Realisierung.